But please, I mean, let's just read your face. Uh, but yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Welcome to another exciting episode of Pro Bar, and here we dive into the world of product management and its innovation. We discuss some consolidated questions from product enthusiasts, and we bring in a super um, senior people with knowledge to help us discuss this and help understand how better to approach the questions and the challenges, basically. Um, Today we have a very special guest, someone that brings in a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. Um, I'm thrilled to introduce to you Anu Iyeleye. Thank you for joining us. If you can just take a brief moment to just help us with a brief introduction and your journey towards product management. I know you're a senior person. I'm super much more senior person at the moment, but then I mean, just help us with how you got there. What was it like at the beginning, and what is it like at the moment?
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Loud and
Okay.
clear.
All right. Cool. So thank you for first thing first. Thank you for having me here. I am more than honored to be, to be speaking. On I think to be this product development, right? So, but first thing first. So like I said, yes, I'm a senior product manager. I work at a economy, and it's been a fantastic journey so far because funny thing is, I do not have any background in like I wasn't a science student or anything. Like I didn't study computer science or maybe transitioning from maybe like a developer kind of side. I
Okay.
literally transitioned from finance. I was in banking for a couple of years, worked in two banks in Nigeria, started traveled abroad for my master's, first master's, second master's, and it had nothing to do with like any science course you can think about. No computer science, nothing, no software development or anything. So you can just imagine how that could have like the whole transitioning could have been because first I'd always been used to, talking to customers and showing that customers were more than okay with whatever banking products or whatever, you know, um, any sort of issue they were experiencing, if it was well resolved or not, and all of that. Um, then having to first I studied economics, right? First degree, second degree, and worked in GTB risk. I was consumer risk manager for a couple of years. Then went for my master's, first master's degree in economics, came back, worked at Access Bank, cost, marketing, but a bit of product marketing. But that was where my interest in product management like sparked because I got to work with, so I was in business banking team, right? And the branch was at Line, so I was literally on the same floor with the product management team. And for every time they needed to like do research on any new product, especially for the business banking team. My team was like literally we're just beside each other. So it was a thing of they just come and meet me and go, oh hi, I know what's up, we're thinking of this and can we talk to your users, I'll be your customers or I mean can you help us with something? And then the first get go was obviously I already had I think in my own portfolio I had over 200 customers by and large. So it was having to like help them to section the customers to different buckets. Let's find out what is what do they want? Does it fit into what the product team was already thinking about, or what have the we wanted, or So it was just all of that stuff, and it was amazing to see that we actually we sort of like helped them birth an idea. And that's when I knew, okay, you know what, product management could actually be something I wanted to do. However, when I went for my second master's and I finished, it was more or less like, okay, what do I want to do? Oh no, I had not finished my second master's when I I wanted to do something different. Like I've had bits and pieces of experiences everywhere, from banking to project. Yeah, I worked as a project manager, researcher, sort of at budget to some other things. It was just, what can I do that would consolidate all of these things together and would make sense, right? Rather than me just starting out fresh and it's like I'm dumping all the expenses I've picked up. First guess was data analytics. I did that one, finished, it was good. Product management came along, I did that as well. And I was like, you know what, I think I'm just going to stick to product management because I mean, I can use my experiences as a risk manager, especially from loans, marketing, customer support, all of these things. So I just packed all of it together, bodied it up together, and you know what? Let's just settle for product management. So I've been a product manager now for about 5 years now, I think 4 5 years. And it hasn't been easy all through, to be honest, because obviously I transitioned from, like I said, from a no code era to also a no code era, but from a totally different sector industry to another, right? So having to just look at it and be like, you know what, how do we ensure that we actually do the right thing? How do we ensure that the product is what we say it is? How do we ensure that the users actually love what we have thought about, right? Was like the most important, or were the most important questions, right? And having to put all of that together, it was more or less like, you know what, we know what we want, but what we want isn't what users want. And that is more or less like the bridge between, or the bridge that really explains what product management is. You know what you want, but what you want isn't what users want. And how do you just ensure that you're really solving user problems, right? And at first, it started off shaky, trying to settle in from different sector to another sector that seems more stable. How do I want to ensure that I really understand this thing? Instead of reading a lot of books, speaking to a lot of people, talking to my mentors, and just ensuring that things were, started off really well. And to the glory of God, I would say that the last couple of years it's been stable. Um, it can also get very busy. It can get very challenging, of course. I mean, which career path doesn't get challenging? But product management so far has been fantastic, to say the least. I love seeing, I love helping users understand the product. I love helping users, um, I love solving user problems. So I would say I'm a user centric product manager. There's anything like that really. But like I always say, I think my LinkedIn says mind your product and solutions. It's just solving problems, to be honest. So I think that's all I think. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. I also like how you have help us um, like flow with how you move into product management. I like how you said you were in the support team and you were close to the product managers, and you guys had to work on customer segmentation to understand what's their product, their problem is like, to help them ideate the next feature or to incorporate into um, what they are doing for I mean maybe for I mean the product team, what they will be doing next, right? And I mean this is like the one of the major key thing in product management, right? And how you also mentioned that I mean you started off with starting to understand what you want to build and what customer want and how to like sort of like consolidate that into a feature, and also going back to customer satisfaction, checking with them to see, oh, is this what you want, did you solve your problem? And at the end of the day, I mean, I just like how your journey is. I mean, to be honest, right? It just gives the actual vibe of you really don't need to do computer science or be a science student to actually do product management. All right, you just need to be solution oriented, understand what um, I mean, how to translate customers' concern into solution. I mean, thank you for that. I mean, you've you've gone a long way. I mean, I sort of like have to like go through your LinkedIn to see how you move into from an analyst to being a support person to being I think you did marketing at some point also. That's crazy. I mean,
Yes, I
it's
did. Yes, I did. And that's just bad. So
yeah,
it was
yeah,
just everywhere. Like trust me. See, we did. Sorry to cut you, right?
yeah.
I remember there was a time I was interviewing.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I just started off as a product manager, right? I was interviewing, and or sorry, I was being interviewed, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
someone asked me. Someone said, "Why are you all over the place?" And for a couple of seconds, I was dumbfounded. I was like, how do I even answer this question? Like, my interviewer looked at my CV. I was like, why are you all over the place? Like, what? I can't remember what I said, but I know what I said was, yo, like, at least all of these things can put my product management career in place. And I just
Yeah,
ended that conversation. But
yeah.
honestly, but it's been fantastic.
I mean, you as a product manager have to work with the marketing team, the even the support team. I mean, that's even where you get like right feedback, right? Every other time you try to like, I mean, even when you segment customers and you say, okay, you want to speak to 5% of each segment, right? You still don't talk to every one of them, right? You have to talk to the support team to say, oh, what is it? What is like a complaint this week? I mean, what's like the things that customers are requesting for this week that is on the high rate, stuff like that. I mean, but this helps you understand how this works, and this will also help you understand how to translate them into what you are doing. You work with the product marketing team to be sure that I mean, whatever they are pushing out there is what you are built. Because I know, like this is crazy. The marketing team can just over.
It can be very tough. Oh.
Yeah,
It can be very tough. Oh. Like, marketing team can go out and start saying things that I did not send them. That's why I always write my PRD first. Like, write it down, let everyone understand. And I tell
yeah,
them before you come out any comms or any content, if it doesn't pass through me and if I don't get it, you're in trouble. Because it's
yeah,
not me that you now go, it's not my product you now go and oversell. And no. But marketing
yeah,
team, kudos to them, sir, but me and them
yeah.
they always fight. Normal, normal.
Nice, nice, nice. Thank you so much. So I mean, there's this common thing. I mean, when you are senior, I know like maybe the next thing is being an head and stuffs like that, and being a chief in product management. But then, do you ever think that you become technical? I know being technical doesn't necessarily mean that you have to write code, right? But I mean, maybe sometimes you just want to like say, I mean, maybe you just stumbled on once somebody's code and you just say, oh, yeah, this is how you should do this and not do it this way. Stuff like that. I mean, just have you ever thought that maybe at some point in product management, being technical would be super useful? Or maybe it would be like a maybe showstopper sometimes. I just, I mean, people enthusiasts are here. They just want to see if it is something that can be a problem for them. I mean, later in their career, or it's something that I mean they can do away without.
Okay, that's actually a fantastic question, right? Because I've had a couple of mentees ask me, "Oh, do I really have to be technical before I can excel as a product manager?" And the answer is no. You do not have to be technical. Like,
Absolutely.
it is. I really don't know how to explain it. Right? Okay, so I know that there was one time. I think one of the books that I read, I still have it. It grouped product management into like three. Try to say three. Let me say sectors, but for lack of better word, three sectors or three genres, right? First is a business product manager, strategic business manager, product manager, and a technical product manager. Obviously, the technical part you understand. That means probably someone that transition from software development. or has some form of experience in coding and all of that stuff. You fall under that. Now, for strategic product manager is you help to set the vision, you help to set the strategy, the product strategy, you help to set, like there's that I mean, every product manager should be forward thinking, should be futuristic, should understand all of this. But for the strategy part is you are literally helping to set the strategy and vision right for the product and the company. Now, business side of it is it has a little bit of strategy in it, but the most important part of the business is business product manager management is you are looking at setting the price, you're looking at obviously talking to the stakeholders, normal, you talk to stakeholders, right? But now you are talking to the business and the stakeholders, understanding the profit, the cost of the product, and all of that. So you can see that product management is not just a one-way street. You can choose the one that you want. Oh, by the way, the three things I just mentioned now, they have evolved past that already. But you can just imagine how product management started, where you don't necessarily have to be fully technical, right? If you don't know how to read code, you're good. All you just need to do is, all you just need to know as a product manager is being able to first do you should know how to do user research, market research, right? Let's understand what the users want vis-a-vis what the business wants. When I mean business, like your stakeholders, your bosses at work, the organization. Matching those two together is like very important. Now you talking to your developers, you setting out the uh for lack of a better word, you setting out the rules. That means how do you want the products to be? You're writing your product requirements document, you're writing your systems required document SRD, or writing an FRD, feature or functional requirements document to spell out what the product is about, right? Talking to the designer, the product design team, helping them to streamline the UI UX part of the user interface and user experience part of it. And then you're not moving from that shift to the development side. You don't have to sit to your developer and say, oh no, this is using a semicolon, yeah, use a colon. Or oh no, yeah, that your if statement is wrong. Try another if statement. Or in fact, why using full stop? Why don't you use greater or equals to? You really do not have to do that, to be honest. You just need to set the strategy right, set the vision for the of the product right, and ensure that you're able to pass it from. Trust me, product managers, we deal with every single person in the company. I have I talk to my marketing team every day, talk to my sales team every day, talk to my comms team every day, talk to my head of growth every day, talk to my chief operating officer every day. Like I talk to my compliance officer every day. Like so you can just imagine the number of people you have to talk to. And it's not just normal talk, is you're setting the product conversation right. So everybody is well aligned. That sync is very important, to be honest. Right. So being technical, if you transition from software development, you are good. But if you're transitioning from now I think the most sector where people transition from is the customer success area. Customer success, customer experience, customer service. If you're transitioning from there, in fact, I feel like you are even at at an advantage than a software engineer. I'm sorry to software engineers, but that is actually the truth because you already have the first-hand information and you already know how to talk to your users. You already know the pain points. You talk to them like you hear users rant. Some of them will cost you out. Take it in, not a problem. But you already understand that this is what or these are the areas where users are getting angry. They're not enjoying the product. This is what they want to see. This is what they're clamoring for. Bring all of that up, write it in a form of document, help to spell it out to your designer. Your design team would ask you so many questions. Help them to just guide them to do what they have to do in terms of the UI and UX part of it. And then carry that same thing, take it to the development team. You guys will have your sprint planning sessions, you have your scrum meetings, back and forth, and then the product is out. But if it's that you want to compulsory read code, please, nah, it is not compulsory. It is not compulsory. Now, let me just say this. I started off as either a business or strategic product manager. But now I am getting more interested in the technical part. That is my own my own side of it. And why? It's just because, fortunately, where I work at economy, our stack is Python. Guess what? My data analytics, I learned it as Python. So trust me, I can read Python code. Sweet. So at some point, I sit down with my backend developer and look at his code, and I'm like, yo, this thing I wrote here, I don't think this thing is going to work. Why don't you try? Your if statement here might be wrong. And ever since they realized that, okay, I have some, and I'm not, see, I cannot sit down to code Python again because it's been 3 years now that I last touched. Yes, about 3 years. No, 4 years, 4 years actually. That I last like wrote Python code, right? But they know for sure if they need to ask many questions, sometimes at the top of my head, I can give them an answer. Okay, no, you might need to change your if statement. Or why don't you use this? Why don't you use that? So it's just a personal preference. And I'm not saying I really want to be technical. I just want to learn that side of the technical, like the technical side. So that at least when my developers are talking, they're not bamboozling me with some technical term like, what are you saying? That kind of thing. But it is not a showstopper. It is not compulsory. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, right? I love how you've actually explained this. Thank you so much. I mean, it should be known that it is not a showstopper. If you are interested in it, if you want to go into it, fine. It's going to be an add-on, but then it is not important in your career, right? I mean, the down. I mean, it's not going to like step you down at any point in your career, right? And that's why you have the engineering manager or the engineering lead or the CTO when you
Exactly.
CPO. So
CTO, exactly. DevOps manager, DevOps, whatever. Leave
yeah,
it to them to handle. You just
yeah.
face the product side of it. And most importantly, is the collaboration. That
Mm-hmm,
collaboration is very important. Having to read code is, don't be bothered about it so much, I beg. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, let's dive into why we are here today. Apologies, I have to like. I mean, your journey is super interesting, and that's why I sort of like chip in all those question at first, right? So, I mean, what we have here is talking about agile, right? And if we are to discuss about the adoption and methodologies of agile product management, right? How iterative processes enhance adaptability and responsiveness to changing requirements. And I don't know if you get that. I mean, how super easy it is for us for uh, in agile methodologies for you to change requirements if there is any maybe a reason to, or maybe there is a need to uh, build something next that's against what you are currently building, or maybe there is a reason to quickly adjust something which will probably add more time to the whole ETA that you've communicated before. How easy is it to do this in agile methodology?
It's actually not very easy, honestly. It is not because, um, really, you're a product manager now. So you understand that when you're really working in a pattern, like when you have set up a sprint,
Mm-hmm.
right, and you set out the objective of the sprint, how long the sprint is going to be for, maybe 2 weeks or 1 week, and then all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden the business comes and says, "Yo, this thing you guys are building, sorry, yeah, step it aside, build this one instead." Now, in an agile um, framework, right? Unfortunately for you, once the business says they want this, there are two things that are involved. Is either you just listen outright and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Or the way I like to do it is I already will let them know how far gone I am with the particular feature, product or functionality or whatever that I'm building at the moment. I let them know how much more time I need to get that through. finish this before we pick up another. Sometimes they listen, other times they're like, I know, no, we're not listening. Step this down and do this, step this down and do this. But what I always ensure is because it is agile, I always will let my engineers do it concurrently. That's the fun of agile. When I mean concurrently is rather step a particular feature down, like take it to the back corner. What I do is, you know what? There's something I call a work breakdown structure, right? It's just some way of explaining to engineers how they should split their work with with in collaboration with timing. So say, I mean, of course, there's 8 hours of work every day, right? And then in 8 hours, obviously 1 hour is for break. That means you're left to 7 hours. How can you do this to ensure that at least you just want to ensure that one product or one feature does not suffer? You split it with work breakdown structure. Split it amongst your developers. You have a week, a sprint planning session again for that new feature that needs to be collaborated together with the other one that you already started working with. And once that is done, so say you have 1 week left on the sprint that you already started to conclude that particular feature, and then they bring in another product or some feature for you to add on, right? To improve the functional to improve the experience of users. Not a problem. So that means that I mean, if you look at it and you look at the way like you try to understand the way you can try to attach some user points to it, right? But if you don't have the luxury of time, you can just break it down, break it down per feature. But I think the best is just to attach story points to it, and that story point is going to guide you to know, oh, maybe one is heavier than the other or one has more weight than the other, and then you just split it in the 2 week sprint. So that means now you're looking at 3 weeks, right? 1 week to finish one side, 2 weeks to actually start and complete the other one. And then you just look for how to split it amongst your developers. The only issue would be if you have a really, really lean team. Maybe just have maybe like two backend developers and maybe one front end developer. Then you can ask for more time. So if my rep says, "Oh, I need this thing done in 2 weeks," because you are the product manager, you can tell them we can do it in two sprints of 1 2 weeks and one week, and then you split out. So that's obviously going to stretch like 4 weeks, but you just ensure that you get it done. So for me, it's just having to structure it properly in an agile manner where your sprint, your scrum meetings, your sprint planning sessions, everything helps you to see what exactly you have to do, breaking it down into into story points against the weight, and then planning appropriately. That's I think that's the best thing.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. I like how you have done the breakdown for us. Not just that you just put a yes to it. You also let us know that there's like a lot to be done as a product manager, which is splits whatever thing that changes that needed to be added into multiple tasks and assign them points based on whatever is agreed on. From the product and engineering team generally, and when um, when the features are not super really a blocker, you can communicate to the business team and try to argue um, when this can be done. And thank you for that. I really do appreciate how you have answered the question. I mean, talking about um, cross-functional collaboration, right? The relationship between product managers and developers, designers, and stakeholders, right? One of which you have mentioned about having to have a conversation about them forcing an implementation in a current sprint. But you having to tell them that, oh, yo, I think we should do it this way, or we should do it that way, or we probably start this sprint where it's going to end this time, right? Um, what are like the strategies to effective communication and synergy among these teams. Yeah.
Okay, if I heard you Right. You're asking about the effective communication, right? To communicate
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
appropriately.
how do you drive communication
Mhm.
between the stakeholders, customers themselves, your team, the product team, the engineers, all of these guys that you have to talk to? Like you mentioned, you speak to the growth people, you speak to the compliance people, you speak to the operations
Mhm.
guys, every other
Mhm.
thing. How do you drive this? How do you make it effective? I mean,
Okay. Okay. So I think first thing first is once you get the management buy-in, which I like to call it, this approval from management to say, okay, you can go ahead and build the product and develop the product. The next thing is you want to first start with your documents, your documentation. There are different documents, there are different stakeholders. Or let me say, you write certain documents for different stakeholders. Now, in normal priority is going to go out to normal, like everybody that is not in your tech team. So from the growth to sales to marketing to customer support to customer success team and also even to your stakeholders. Fine, they've given you go ahead to build, but you also have to let them know what is at stake, right? The research you've done, how is it going to profit the business, and all of that. You can also break it down to the cost in terms of third party vendors that you'll be using, right? So when you have all those three things happen, that is literally, and then of course to your compliance, especially for fintech and well, I work in fintech, so I know that compliance is very important, right? And sometimes you risk as well, your risk team. Now, first thing you have to do is obviously your priority has to cover all of like it has to cover you have to answer certain questions that these other stakeholders are going to ask. So you have to put the compliance part, you have to put the risk part, you have to put the marketing, the sales, all of those things. You just have to like outline it, even if it's just two lines. You just need to put something there so that when you're reading, you understand. So for me, that's like the first form of communication. Your documentation is the first form of communication. You send it out to people, then just get ready to having meetings where you're actually sometimes the documentation is or the document is encompassing. You just really might not need any question or ask any question as it were, but you just know that just get ready because I mean compliance might obviously call to ask for more ideas or sorry like are you sure this is this or come back to say oh no maybe our license does not carry this or no there's a new CBN circular that says this you have to review this or no users on this particular tier cannot do this so you have to go back again to probably write and all of that but the most important thing is once you get your document right every other thing falls in place because you can then take the conversation to another level. Now, for your tech team, right, which involves, or I mean, you have your design team, you have your developers, either front end or back end, mobile, whatever you want to call them. You write a different document for them. This most likely would be a systems requirement document SRD or a feature functional requirements document FRD, where you're going to state it scenario by scenario, feature by feature, module by module. So everybody understands what they're up against and how to build it. For the FRB, your designer knows how to is able to just read through it and then understand, okay, this is how this is gonna work and can put in two and two together and just give you fantastic looking UI UX designs, right? And then for your tech team, you understand, oh, when the user does this, this is what should happen from this point to this point, this is how we should go, right? In conjunction with the designs that has been done by your product design team. So, like I said, first thing first is the document. You cannot be a product manager and not be able to write precise or concise documents. It's not even possible anywhere. So, from there, then you have the normal meetings. Now, for the tech team, there's always something. So once the design is out, obviously review the design team back and forth, and then for the tech team, because you were most likely to work in an agile manner, you have to have your sprint planning session. Sprint planning session is very important because this is where you carry whatever document you've written against the design, and your developers are just going to go feature by feature, module by module, explain what it is, explain why that is that. Designer is going to come and say, yo, this is why I designed this like this. Front end will come and say, no, this is not, this cannot work. Back end will say, have you guys thought about the endpoint, how this endpoint is going to work, how many this, and you're just like, okay, you know what? This is what we're talking about it. And then best believe that from the sprint planning session, you're also going to have to plan your sprint. So how many weeks of sprint or how many is it that 1 week or 2 weeks? And how many sprints are you going to have? So you can have maybe 4 week sprint, which is 2 weeks, 2 weeks, that's two sprints actually, and or something. So it all depends on how you spread it out. But most importantly is get your documentation right, then be ready to hold meetings to, explain and justify why the document or why the product has to be built in the way you have said it has to be built. Thank you.
Sorry, I was looking for my mouth. Thank you so much. I love how you have placed emphasis on having to know how to write documents and having to explain every goddamn thing that you are going to do on the document, and also knowing who to share to. And I mean, this is the starting point of every collaboration within all of the teams, right? What you want to share with the stakeholder for approval, what the product team, I mean, the product design team needs to look at to fully understand the full scope of the feature or the product, the engineering team, also the operations team, the customer support team, so that they know what is coming at them and all. Thank you so much for this. You have, after having to share the documents, collaborate, have meetings, conclude, um, go back. Going back by saying, oh, maybe there's like a certain thing that was being discussed and you have to go and change, and then it is now development stage. How do you um, incorporate users' feedback and user testing into the product itself. I understand that part of the development stage is having to like have one or two conversations with the customers. How do you incorporate that into already existing document that you have built, and how do you make sure that the design team takes care of this while designing also?
Okay, so I know that the first thing you have to do before you even write any document as a product manager is you do your user research, right? You already have an idea of what the product is about, but you need to validate the hypothesis. You need to validate that idea that you have would actually scale. You need to validate that is what users want. You need to validate that it's actually going to solve the problem you claim it is going to solve. Right. So the first thing first is to have a is to do user research. And before doing user research, you need to know your user persona. You need to know where your users reside, where they fall into, what they do, what the problems are, and then know what your solution is. So by the time you're talking to your users, um you literally understand everything. I I don't I'm trying to look for how best to say it. And most importantly, right? I know that sometimes it would be best for you to, if you can, let your product designer go with you on the user research. Like when you can decide. It all depends. Is it a B2B or is it B2C again? So if it is, if whatever side of it is, if it's a B2C or B2B, sometimes you might really want your product designer to go with you into the market, into the streets, to ask the questions so that they can understand and help to build. Now, let me give you a case in point. In the last couple of months, because I had a product team at Economy, right? That means I think I have about two product designers that are working with me. what I did then was I told my brothers and I said, see, I can as well call my users, right? Call our users, speak to them, ask them 20 questions. But I want you to do that job. And the reason was because I need you to hear them rant. I need you to ask them the questions because you are going to be the one to design whatever we need to design. So what we're looking for is we're looking for how to improve the product, right? From even from sign up to onboarding to the product itself, the different saving products that we have, the float, the vault, the plans, right? And all of that stuff. So I told him, I said, see, you really want to do this job because if I do it for you and I come to tell you, yo, this is the result of my research. This is what my users have said. Now we need to sit down and tweak our design to do this. Again, also we need to also ensure that we are compliant, right? And then the developer can go, no, it's not going to be aesthetically. I know there's this word, aesthetically beautiful. It's not going to be this, it's going to be that. Yo, you were not there when a user almost beat me up on the street saying your product, your app does not work because I cannot even do that. I cannot do that. I cannot do that. So you are going to be the one to talk to them, hear them rant, hear them speak, then come back to me with your findings, and then with the findings that that you've gathered, now go back and iterate on that product. Then let's have a meeting. So sometimes it's actually good for you to drag your product designer with you, to listen to users, to ask the questions so that they can help you. Because honestly, as a product manager, you cannot do it alone. Fine, you are like the visionary or you're the visionaire of the product. You're the one you're like the beginner and end of it, right? But that aside, you need a team of humans that would help bring that vision to life. And one of them is a product designer. So it's a thing of whatever thing or whatever issue that the user has, you need to be able to help your team understand what the issues are and help them to be able to translate those issues into something workable, of course, which is a product. From iteration to iteration, from feature to feature, from module to module. So it's a team effort. You can't do it alone. You just need to drag your entire team with you and say, let's do this together. And that's the way that's where I like to do it, to be honest.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. I like how you also help us circle back to how you get into writing the product, which is that already like getting customers' feedback using user personas to write the document and also pinpoint what customers' problem are before actually providing a solution, right? So, I mean, with all of this and having to collaborate with your stakeholders for conclusions and having to make sure it goes in line with the business and also customer satisfaction goal. Yeah. What is it like validating ideas and reducing um, this to what you want to go live with, right? I know most times when you conceptualize, it's a whole lot of product. I mean, it's a whole lot of features within a product, right? How do you decide what your MVP is going to look like? How do you um, um, take out the MVP from all of the solutions that you have? I know, like, it's going to be agile, so features are going to be coming out one after the other after going to the market, right? But what's like examples of successful MVP implementation and its lessons?
That's a very good question, to be honest. Um, your MVP is your MVP essentially should be a product that does the basic thing that you said your product would do. I don't know if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
for example, right? For example, now let's take Piggy as an example. Piggy is before Piggy became the Piggy that they are today. They literally just had, I think it was just a savings. It's still savings anyways, but they literally just have, I think, the Flex wallet, um, and I think the other one that you can lock in, not safe lock, the other one. So I think they only have two products or two features. Let me just put it as features. Now, all you just need to do is you've already. That's why I never joke with user research. User research is like the bedrock of anything you want to do. Because from a user research, you already know what the problem is. All that is left is how do you want to solve it, right? From maybe 20 problems, of course, it has to be in line with your vision, with your goal, with your objectives, whatever, with your business future goals, right? Never go outside what your business says. But as long as you're able to identify what the users want, right, in terms of the problems, and then you just want to solve it, look at the most critical points. I think that's what they call must haves and nice to have. The must have would let that be what it's going to be in your MVP, in your version one. And your must have essentially obviously would be first to be sign up to onboarding, uh sign up again. You now want to ask yourself how simple do you want to make your sign up, or how tedious do you want to make it? You understand? It all depends on the kind of sector. Is it fintech? Is it ed tech? Is it fashion tech? Is it pop tech? You just need to know for your sector, how easy is it? You also have to do your own market research. You need to research on other products in the same sector as you. So it's not like you're doing something totally far off. Like you don't want to have EG now in the financial sector space. You have OPay having a very similar sign up, and then you have a GTB that is, of course, is a bank and a fintech. So obviously it's a bit different. But you see that OPay, Pampy, and the rest of them have almost similar sign up because they are all fighting for the same set of users, actually. So you just need to know, oh, okay, so now when OPay came out with one thing. They wanted to digitize collections, or should I say, ensure that when you are transferring, you get your transfers, right? And what did they do? They made sign up very easy. They made onboarding extremely easy as well. They came out with a dashboard that is very easy to understand. Transfer money, receive money, pay bills. That's all OP was about for a while. And fortunately for them, when the whole no cash thing happened sometime in the year, they just went. It was just at the perfect moment. I won't say that was an MVP for them, but honestly, that is how an MVP should be, where you just bring out the must have, and the must have must equal to you solving the paramount problems that you have identified during your research. That you know your users are, oh shit, this is what is going on. This is it. I can't do that. Just it doesn't have to be 20 features. It can just be five. And then you can use that to scale for about 6 months to 1 year before you iterate into deeper and bigger things. So it's just for you to be able to answer the most important questions, solve the most important problems, and then from there you can start looking at, oh, okay, I think we can do this better. Or no, okay, sign up needs to be more tight, or it has to be tighter. Onboarding, we can ask for other things, or the dashboard is not looking aesthetically pleasing. Let's change it and all of that. So just come out with the must haves. Whilst you are answering solving the problems, you also want to be making a bit of profit. But most importantly is just solve the problems as quickly as you can, as yeah, as quickly as you can, to be honest, and go on for the user. What's that thing called? When you are in the market and you have traction, yes, help that to gain traction. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love how this episode have dragged us from the beginning of what product management is. I mean, having to say you really don't have to be technical, or you really don't have to be a computer science graduate or a science student to be a product manager, to having to have a love to solving customers' problem, and having to also do your research, gather your user personnel to understand what problem is like in the market, and having to write your documents to address this problem by providing a solution, then going into to have the major stakeholders look into it, and you guys collaborate on what should be done to get approval. Then, I mean, do the back and forth thingy, which is having to argue some points, having to include some, and um, build metrics around it, and then you started building. Then why building? Collaboration with the design team, the engineering team, the ops team, and accordingly. And while you also split this into sprints, and having to churn them out one after the other. Then after this, then you uh, think about your go life um, um, part of the product, which is, I mean, just a very key thing which your product is solving, that helps customers to um, um, come to the product, buy it, use it, and later on having to build future upon future so that they get stick to it, get feedback from them, improve the product, and you keep improving it over time, right? Thank you so much, Anu, for this. Thank you for dropping so much
Thank you.
about product management, and I mean, thank you for making us proud. Also, I mean, you've actually been everywhere
You're
and
most welcome.
doing magic. I like to call it magic because I mean it's not easy. Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and it's so yeah. This is just to put this out there. Here at ProBar, we do train product managers to become better. We do help you transition into product management at first. We do help you to become better. If you're currently a product manager and you want to know better and transition into more senior person, we have trainings that are designed for this. Please, you can check out Proba on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter to follow us accordingly. And also, there are more of this episode that is coming up. What we do is having to get people's concern. I mean, people's questions about the world of product management, and people's real life challenges while working as a product manager, and bring super senior people like I know that have been there, and faced these challenges, and conquered it, and help us with how they have done this, right? Thank you everyone for coming to this show. Thank you, Anu, for honoring us. Um, until the next time, keep innovating, keep learning, and keep being passionate about the world of product management. Um, this is me
Thank
signing
you.
off.
Thank you
Uh,
for having me.
yeah, thank you, and do have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, sir. You're welcome. Bye.
Yeah, bye.